17 turns.
Copy. Same as before on this H1.
Copy. Tape flush, nothing well.
Copy, tape line flush, drive H1, 4 to 5.5 turns.
Near line.
Okay. Right at 16 turns. Can you see the LED?
Green LED and 9.0 propulsion torque.
Green. Okay, ready?
Copy, 9.0 torque.
Do be careful.
16 turns, green light for H2. Check status indicator lock.
We torqued out with Alpha 7 immediately. Did we get any time through? Proposed reporting.
Copy, checking.
Even move.
Copy, it's the same settings for H1.
Okay. Same as before on this H1.
Copy.
Christina, Drew, we think there may be a cant to the PGT. We'd like to have
Tape
Christina try driving. Copy, tape line flush, drive H1, 4 to 5.5 turns.
Right near line. Full PG camera reposition. Actually, going to position. So I'm going to get to this.
Can you see the LED status?
It looks perpendicular from my angle. How about yours?
Okay, ready? Turns.
Getting turned. Torqued out. Brief on the right. We torqued out with Alpha 7 immediately. Did we get any time through?
Right.
Copy, checking.
Even move.
Turn. At a green LED and 9.1 foot-pounds of torque.
And it's in the lock position.
Copy, lock, 9.1 on the torque, green light. Say again, turn count.
Can you pull that out, Drew?
Christina, Drew, we think there may be a cant to the PGT. We'd like to have Christina try driving.
There. That's good.
Right here. Full PG camera reposition. Actually, going to position.
Christina, say again the turn count you received on H1.
Okay, the turn count for H1 position. I've got a good aerial here. It looks perpendicular from my angle. How about yours?
And mine as well.
Okay.
Next is unlocking the RET and releasing it from the scoop.
Ready, brief on the right. That one.
Released.
Turn. At a green LED and 9.1 foot-pounds of torque.
And it's in the lock position.
Copy, lock, 9.1 on the torque, green light. Say again, turn count. Copy, 1 lap. For the next lap, we will work together big picture to release the battery in slot 2 and shepherd that to the EP. For that, we have some scoop relocation
there.
and the APFR relocation.
I'll take care of the APFR.
Drew, the APFR moves Christina, from say again the turn count you received on H1 at a clocking of 12.
Okay, the turn count for H1 was 6.
Right next door.
Copy, 6.
And just like that,
next is unlocking the RET and releasing it from the scoop.
Battery A now installed in slot 1, ticking off one of the major tasks on their timeline for the day.
Christina, the scoops on this battery that you work together to just install, relocate to battery 2. Copy, nice work on this battery as well. Outboard corner. H1 4 o'clock, H2 6 o'clock. Copy 1 lap. For the next lap,
so now Christina Koch's going to remove the scoops.
You will work together big picture to release the battery in slot 2 and shepherd that to the EP.
They need something to
For that, we
grab
have
onto
some
as they're
scoop
maneuvering them back
relocation
and forth between the exposed
and
pallet
APFR
and the
relocation.
integrated equipment assembly. She's going to take the scoops off of battery A, which is the new lithium-ion that was just installed, move them over to battery 2,
APFR
which is one of the
moves from width 30 to width 26
connected
at a
currently
clocking
in
of
that
12.
integrated equipment assembly. And the next major task for them is going to be to unhook battery 2. And just like that, a new lithium-ion battery is in place. So battery 2 over to A now installed in slot 1, ticking off another one of the major tasks on their timeline for the day.
Christina, the scoops on this battery that you worked together to just install, relocate to battery 2. It's 1 row lower.
Going to go into the now
outboard
vacant
corner.
spot over on the exposed pallet where battery
H1
A
4 o'clock,
resided.
H2 6 o'clock.
Again, 9 of these nickel hydrogen batteries will
And
ultimately
so now
make
Christina
their way
Koch's
over
going
to
to
that
remove the
exposed
scoops.
pallet, Remember, those are the inside of an kind of handhold aids that they can attach to the batteries. They need something to grab onto as they're maneuvering them back and forth between the exposed pallet and the integrated equipment assembly. So she's going to take the scoops off of battery A, which is the new lithium-ion that was just installed, move them over to battery 2, which is one of the nickel hydrogen batteries still connected currently in that integrated equipment assembly. And the next major task for them is going to be to unhook battery 2 and power to the lithium-ion batteries on the exposed pallet. And then they're going to start moving battery 2 over to the exposed pallet. It's going to go into the slot.
Scoop on H2 of battery 2 at 6 o'clock.
H2 of battery 2, 6 o'clock.
And then that adapter plate eventually going to go into the battery they're going to work to remove now is going to go into the now vacant spot over on the exposed pallet where battery A resided. And then that adapter plate again, 9 of these nickel hydrogen batteries will ultimately make their way over to that exposed pallet, which gets put back inside of an HTV cargo craft. And then when that re-enters the Earth's atmosphere and burns up, the batteries burn up alongside with it. 2 hours, 53 minutes. Since there are 12 of these batteries that are going to be removed over the series of 5 spacewalks this month, 3 will actually continue to reside on the integrated equipment assembly, but they'll go on top of what's called an adapter plate. That's something that we'll see them install a little bit later in this spacewalk. The adapter plate serving several functions. One of the ones it was doing is providing heating and power to the lithium-ion batteries while it was on the exposed pallet on the ride uphill.
Copy, and the wire tie ends are still tucked under the boot plate.
So it does need to be retension.
Tension releases.
Firm.
Copy. The remainder of the settings, Quebec, Juliet,
and then that
12.
Adapter plate eventually going to go into one of the empty slots because for every 2 nickel hydrogen batteries, we're replacing them with 1 lithium-ion battery. And then that adapter plate will serve to complete the circuit between that battery and the BDCU that operates for each pair, the battery discharge control unit.
Copy a scoop on H1 of battery 2 at 4 o'clock.
And right now we're 2 hours, 53 minutes, 26 seconds and counting into today's spacewalk. They're continuing to stay ahead on their timeline about 45 minutes or so. So it will not be a surprise if they continue on this pace that a few get-ahead tasks could be thrown at the crew. One of which they'll go in a priority order, but they could be moving an extra battery today.
Retention knots real quick. The ingress heavy and light on black hat. They can grip aid underneath it.
Copy, and the wire tie ends are still tucked under the boot plate.
Okay, it's clear. Oh, let me get your put it on.
Copy.
Thank you.
The remainder of the settings, Quebec, Juliet 12.
Everything is good.
And Stephanie, for me, I have a scoop installed on H1
the
battery
gap
2,
banner.
4 o'clock. And I can report the battery to serial number is 0093. Is that something you think you
Copy a scoop on H1 of battery 2 at 4 o'clock. Copy the serial number 0093.
I will move into position then.
And Stephanie, I can go ahead and dress again.
That's affirmed, Drew. You can ingress.
We're back, Juliet 12.
Good read back, Drew.
And before we retention that real quick, the ingress aid, I just need to pass the ingress aid underneath it.
Okay, stand by.
Okay, it's clear. Oh, let me get your put it on.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
The ingress aid grabbed everything it could.
Right now, the spacewalking crew members are just
Christina,
adjusting
Drew,
those
if you
gap
retension
spanners.
the gap spanner,
Again, we're just some tethers that were installed.
we would still like the
handrails around the
180-degree
batteries. Just
turnbuckle
some,
test.
Extra translation aids or items that they can use to move
Is
around
that
the
something you think
worksite
you
area.
would be doing the APFR, or should I do it now?
I could do it in the APFR.
Sure.
Drew Morgan's going to be making
I
his
will
way
move into
into a foot
position then.
restraint. He's going to be
And
working with the pistol
Stephanie, I
grip
can
tool
go
now
ahead and
to
dress
release
again.
battery number 2.
You're going to be a little bit more behind me for that.
That's affirmed, Drew. You can
go to
ingress.
the same place. What do you,
And a quick video and comm handover with the station. Again, this will be a really short one. We'll get it back momentarily. But again, the crew already about halfway through halfway through their major tasks for the timeline today, or their primary tasks. Next up, they're going to be removing battery 2 and taking it over to the exposed pallet as well.
Okay.
Well, the first one will be a little funny, but then it'll be the same after that.
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to... Oh, rec H2 again, Stephanie? Just
Right now, the spacewalking crew members are just adjusting those gap spanners.
That's affirmed.
Again,
Rec
we're
to
just some
H2,
tethers that were
locking it out with
installed
slack,
using
and also
handrails
double
around the
check
batteries.
ingress
Just gives
aid
them
tethers
some
clear.
extra translation aids or items that they can use to move around the worksite area.
Ingress aids and the black
Okay.
H2.
Drew Morgan's going to be making his way into a foot restraint. He's going to be working with the pistol grip tool now to release battery number 2. 2 hours and 58 minutes and 30 seconds into today's spacewalk.
If we go to the same place.
Things continue to go smoothly. This the second career spacewalks for both Christina, Koch, and Drew Morgan. A quick video and comm handover with the station. Again, this will be a really short one. We'll get it back momentarily. Again, the crew already about halfway through halfway through their major tasks for the timeline today, or their primary tasks. Next up, they're going to be removing battery 2 and taking it over to the exposed pallet as well.
Okay.
Well, the first one will be a little funny, but then it'll be the same after that.
To the H1 scoop.
Okay, so we're going to...
Alpha 7 clockwise 2 settings for that pistol
rec
grip tool.
H2 again, Stephanie, just the
Basically
same.
programming it, it's going to be able to impart 9.2 foot-pounds of force, turning at a rate of
affirmed.
30
Rec to
rotations
H2,
per minute.
locking it out with slack, and also double check ingress aid tethers clear.
I'll have you trigger.
Okay.
Release H1 about 8 turns.
Ingress aid and the red is got slack in
A
it.
little more towards you, Drew.
H2 towards me.
Uh-huh.
Copy.
Yeah, like that.
And as of right now, we are 2 hours and 58 minutes and 30 seconds into today's spacewalk. Things continuing to go smoothly. This the second career spacewalks for both Christina, Koch, and Drew Morgan. The first of 2 bolts that they're going to have to remove. One old battery removed, one new one already installed. The second nickel hydrogen battery about to be removed.
And I can see the indicators on
We can see that pistol grip tool now making its way into the hands of Drew Morgan.
Status indicator unlocked. Copy Alpha 7 counterclockwise 2. Counterclockwise 2 for good settings for H2. When able, confirm tape line flush to the H1 scoop.
Alpha 7 clockwise 2 settings for that pistol grip tool. Basically programming it, it's going to be able to impart 9.2 foot-pounds of force, turning at a rate of 30 rotations per minute.
Just take a look at everything everything looks good
tape line flush.
I'll have you trigger.
Okay.
Release H1 about 8 turns.
Actually, it's leaning a little too much towards me.
I missed it if you called
A little more towards you, Drew.
Towards me?
Uh-huh.
Christina gave it to us, and we have it. Thank
you.
you.
Like that. Ready? Want to make sure it's aligned. It still needs to come towards you a little bit. There we go. And starting turn.
You can see the drill turning this, the first of 2 bolts that they're going to have to remove to get this battery off of the integrated equipment assembly.
Nice and center, skipping at 4 turns.
Okay, and I can see the indicators in unlock.
Yep, there you go.
Copy 4 turns, status indicator unlocked, same settings, alpha 7, counterclockwise 2 for H2.
Good to you? Look good?
What am I assessing?
Everything looks good to you there? You briefed the indicator. All right. Okay, if we didn't give you the serial number, it's 0093. I missed it if you called that.
Christina gave it to us, and we have it. Thank you.
Pistol grip tool.
Yep, and it's an unlock.
Second bolt now unlocked. You can see the battery already starting to move.
Yep, I was right at 18, so it was between 17 and 18 turns, and we're in unlock.
Copy 17 to 18 turns, unlock.
The tape line flush.
Christina, you can receive the PGT stored on your swing arm. Drew unlock the rest.
The only adjustment here is move. Yep, there you go.
That we're good?
Yep.
Okay, unlock.
Release H2 about 19 turns. Christina, to receive the battery, the DCSU scoop is the recommended position.
Copy. Drew, that matches what we discussed.
Yep.
That's great.
There it is, yep.
Drew Morgan working with the pistol grip tool.
Are you hearing an echo?
And it's an unlock.
Yeah.
Second bolt now unlocked. You can see the battery already starting to move.
Yep, I was right at 18, so it was between 17 and 18 turns, and we're in unlock.
I'm going to go position on the...
Copy 17 to 18 turns, unlock. Christina, you can receive the PGT and stow it on your swing arm. Drew unlock the ret.
You're,
Copy. It's unlocked.
It's a little low, but you're fine. And the PGT.
Christina, to receive the battery, the DCSU scoop is the recommended position.
Copy.
Drew, when Christina is ready, she will receive the H1 side of the battery.
Drew, that matches what we discussed.
Yep.
That's great.
There it is, yep.
Nicely done.
All right, let's look at my schedule. Are you hearing an echo this time that it's not that it is. And by while I get a local down.
Tell us an echo or an interference.
Right. I'm going to go position on the...
I can see it. I'll be able to make this stand off, no problem. As you tap that corner right there and you have a good orthogonal to me, just if I look good straight back up here.
You're H2 is a little low, but you're fine.
Right there, Christina Koch just getting into position to get the battery handed off to her from Drew Morgan.
Yeah, so,
there we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Great.
And once he hands it off, they're going to again begin this inchworming pattern.
Drew?
Okay.
Drew, when Christina is ready, she will receive the H1 side of the battery.
Correct.
Nicely done.
All right, look at my spacesuit tether and make sure this time that it's not on any squares. I don't see that it is. I have the battery. I'll get a local down. I am on the,
okay. Start to get out of the APFR.
Copy.
I can see it. I won't be able to make this hand off
hear
the
them be very clear when they hand off this battery. One will say, I have the battery, one will, and then the other will confirm as this large device obscures a lot of the view of these crew members as they're handing it back and forth, and it is a pretty massive
right now.
object.
Christina Koch just getting into position to get the battery handed off to her from Drew Morgan,
weighing in excess of 360 pounds. The lithium-ion ones 428 pounds. They are in microgravity.
Once he hands it off, they're going to again begin this inchworming pattern
down here on Earth. Those batteries definitely still have mass, so once you start moving them, it takes quite a bit of force to stop them from moving. So very slow, very deliberate pace in passing this large item back and forth.
Bringing it down?
Yeah.
Copy.
Drew Morgan making his way out of the foot restraint. And again, they're going to begin that slow process of moving back over to the exposed pallet.
I have the battery.
They're going to be putting this battery into the now vacant slot A.
Okay.
And
start to get out of the APFR.
Before that, they'll have to remove an adapter plate.
And again, you're going to hear them be very clear when they hand off this battery. One will say, I have the battery, one will, and then the other will confirm as this large device obscures a lot of the view of these crew members as they're handing it back and forth, and it is a pretty massive object. The nickel hydrogen batteries weighing in excess of 360 pounds, the lithium-ion ones 428 pounds. They are in microgravity, so they're able to move these much easier than they would down here on Earth. Those batteries definitely still have mass, so once you start moving them, it takes quite a bit of force to stop them from moving. So very slow, very deliberate pace when passing this large item back and forth. Drew Morgan making his way out of the foot restraint. And again, they're going to begin that slow process of moving back over to the exposed pallet, where they're going to be putting this battery into the now vacant slot A, and then, but before that, they'll have to remove an adapter plate that will get brought back over and installed in the slot where this battery was just removed from.
That is beautiful.
Sure is.
Okay, I'm ready to receive the battery. And I have the battery.
Hey, you have the battery?
Yes.
You keep going.
Go.
I'm going to just lift it up just a little bit as we go.
Yep.
You still have control. You maintain some settings that are going to begin.
All right, and then if I forget my local down, I'm going to have you stand by one while I take a look at my PG.
Go one more handrail yet. I have the battery.
You have the battery. Okay, I'm ready to receive the battery. And I have the battery.
Hey, you have the battery?
And this is Mission Control Houston. So right now, Christina Koch and Andrew Morgan making their way back to the exposed pallet with the battery in tow. While they're taking some time to translate, we'll take some time to answer a few more of your questions. Again, if you're following along, head over to Twitter. Use that hashtag AskNASA. We'll try to get through them when we have a couple of...
I'm going to just lift it up just a little bit as we go.
You
still have control. You maintain control. One more handrail here.
Any plans on upgrading the cameras on the spacesuit helmets for better quality of the streaming? How old are the helmet cams? Well, the helmet cams themselves are pretty old. Like a lot of the hardware on these suits, they've been used since the space shuttle days. There are plans right now to upgrade these to high-definition cameras, which once we have those in place, get some pretty spectacular views of these spacewalks. So look to that in the not-too-distant future. Next question comes from Bert. Wanted to know, understanding repairing the alpha magnetic spectrometer, very complex job. What's the reason AMS isn't replaced by a new one? Well, it's mostly because the alpha magnetic spectrometer itself is an extremely complex particle physics experiment. And this is Mission Control Houston. So right now, Christina, Koch, and Andrew Morgan making their way back to the exposed pallet with the battery in tow. While they're taking some time to translate, we'll take some time to answer a few more of your questions. Again, if you're following along, head over to Twitter. Use that hashtag AskNASA. We'll try to get through them when we have a couple of... the more downtime moments during today's action-filled spacewalk. Our first one for right now comes from Neiman. Wants to know, any plans on upgrading the cameras on the spacesuit helmets for better quality of the streaming? How old are the helmet cams? Well, the helmet cams themselves are pretty old. Like a lot of the hardware on these suits, they've been used since the space shuttle days. There are plans in work right now, though, to upgrade these to high-definition cameras, which once we have those in place, get some pretty spectacular views of these spacewalks. So look to that in the not-too-distant future. Walking the crew through each of their Next question comes from Bert. Wanted to know, understanding repairing the alpha magnetic spectrometer, very complex job. What's the reason AMS isn't replaced by a new one? Well, it's mostly because the alpha magnetic spectrometer itself is an extremely complex particle physics experiment that took in excess of $2 billion to manufacture and ultimately launch on a space shuttle mission. So it would be nigh impossible to replace. We also don't currently have a cargo capability like the space shuttle had to fly very large items like that to the International Space Station. So that's why going in and repairing it, which it was never meant to be done on that device, is really the only option. Several of them. The main one that they're using is that pistol grip tool. It's kind of the space drill that they use to drive the bolts that hold these batteries in place. Crew members still translating. Our next question comes from Echo. Wanted to know who's the Capcom for today's spacewalk. It is NASA astronaut Stephanie Wilson. You can see her there in the blue blazer. Just next to her is another NASA astronaut, Mark Vande Hei. He's serving as the Capcom, talking to the crew still inside the station. But at Stephanie Wilson, you hear walking the crew through each of their steps throughout today's spacewalk. Next question comes from Marissa. Kiddos wanted to know how much the spacesuits weigh. It actually varies depending on how many tools and other things like that get attached, but they typically weigh in at between 350 to 500 pounds. What are the small white dots on the Obviously, something you can only maneuver in when you're in a microgravity environment. Surface suits, like the ones worn during the Apollo missions, weigh considerably less. Cameras spend time on board the International Space Station. Like everything else, they're exposed to a higher radiation environment, and it will actually cause the image sensor. Our next question comes from Eric. Wanted to know what tools they're going to be using for today's spacewalk. We've seen several of them. The main one that they're using is that pistol grip tool. It's kind of the space drill that they use to drive the bolts that hold these batteries in place, either on that exposed pallet or when they're connected into the station's power system. One of the other main tools that they're using is called the scoop. They have a number of those, and those just get attached to batteries, so they have something to grab onto while they're moving them. You wanted to know, what if their noses itch? Pretty serious question. It is something you have to think about. They actually have a device inside the helmets to scratch their noses with, because as when you're inside of the EMU, you can't reach inside of the helmet. So they did think about that, and they do have a small device inside of the helmet itself that they can scratch their face if necessary.
And then our next question was wondering, what are the small white dots on the cameras inside of the International Space Station? That's a good eye. It's actually radiation damage to the camera sensors. As cameras spend time on board the International Space Station, like everything else, they're exposed to a higher radiation environment, and it will actually cause the image sensor in cameras to degrade over time. So at first you're just seeing a few dead pixels, like you probably noticed, and it can actually get a lot worse to the point where the cameras are pretty unusable just from all of the damage that gets done. So it does take several years typically for that to happen, but we do have to replace the cameras every once in a while. And then one more from right now came from Ricardo. He wanted to know, what if their noses itch? Pretty serious question. That is something you have to think about. They actually have a device inside the helmets to scratch their noses with, because when you're inside of the EMU, you can't reach inside of your helmet at all. So they did think about that, and they do have a small device inside of the helmet itself that they can scratch their face if necessary.
I have the battery. Okay, that's the battery. It is off 3, and I can confirm that. If you're go, I will begin my...
Yes, the brakes are on. You are go to ingress, and I have one caution for braking torque on the adapter plate. When braking torque, apply less than 55 pounds force.
Copy. And you're good with me to ingress this time?
I'm good, yep.
We're in a good handoff spot?
Yes. I have the battery.
You have the battery.
And Drew Morgan and Christina Koch continuing to make their way with this battery.
Stephanie, are we with you? We have made it to the APFR.
Yes, nice work, nice shepherding. And you can verify the roll and yaw of the APFR. Likely it's Gulf 3 as it was before, and we're happy with that if you are.
Okay, that's affirmative. It is Gulf 3, and
now that the crew members are back at that exposed pallet, they're going to be
the brakes are on. You are go to ingress, and I have one caution
empty slot, but first they have to
for braking torque on the adapter plate at the EP. When braking torque, apply less than 55 pounds force.
Installed in slot 2, where the battery that Drew Morgan's holding on to right now just came from.
You're good with me to ingress.
So right now, Christina Koch working to get into that foot restraint. She's going to break out that pistol grip tool again and remove the adapter plate.
On the right pedal.
Copy.
Yep, there you go, you're clear of it.
And she'll eventually transfer that over to Drew Morgan, who's going to stow it. And then after the adapter plate is off, battery 2 will be going into its spot.
Right, Jeff. It looks like the right outside of your foot is a little bit high, so if you come more vertical toward me, it'll flatten it out. That looks good. It looks like you're in contact.
And now that the crew members are back at that exposed pallet,
a little more rotation and you're there.
They're going to be reinstalling, they're going to be installing this battery into an empty slot, but first they have to remove the adapter plate from slot letter A. That adapter plate's eventually going to get carried back over and installed in slot 2, where the battery that you can see the Drew Morgan's holding onto right now just came from. So right now, Christina Koch working to get into that foot restraint. She's going to break out the pistol grip tool again and remove the adapter plate batteries while they were still installed on the exposed pallet. They eventually get carried over and installed in place. She'll eventually transfer that over to Drew Morgan, who's going to stow it. The circuit between the two, linking them up with that battery discharge control unit, one of which typically connects to two. And then after the adapter plate is off, battery 2 will be going into its spot. It also has the potential to serve as a permanent stowage option.
More vertical toward me, it'll flatten it out.
Batteries, as they can only bring 9 of them back through
good.
Earth's
It looks like you're in contact.
and we are replacing 12 of them during this series of spacewalks.
A little more rotation in you there. You're in contact with the plate, or hello, the right outside of your foot, just a little high, deep in the toe loop.
Okay.
And you can see the adapter plate. It's the large black object right in the field of view from Christina Koch's helmet cam right here. Again, it was used to provide keep alive heat for these lithium-ion batteries while they were still installed on the exposed pallet.
Yep, I think you are.
They eventually get carried over and installed in place and are connected to the newly installed lithium-ion battery to complete the circuit between the two, linking them up with that battery discharge control unit, one of which typically connects to two nickel-hydrogen batteries, only one lithium-ion battery in their places now. It also has the potential to serve as a permanent stowage option for a couple of these nickel-hydrogen batteries, as they can only bring 9 of them back through the Earth's atmosphere to burn up, and we are replacing 12 of them during this series of spacewalks.
You're in contact with the plate, or hello to the plate, but I just think it's deep in the toe loop.
Okay. Drew, for this handoff, because of the long distance to the battery tether point as opposed to the...
You're backing it out a little bit, and then...
We may have to do the double where...
Yep, I think you are.
Okay, my ingress fade is stowed.
That's fine.
And Stephanie, I am ingress. The ATFR, my ingress aid is stowed towards me.
And you have the battery.
And I'm ready for...
Yep. Looks good.
Copy. Are your tethers clear?
They're clear. And the battery's still ready to go.
Copy. It's a good time to perform a RET swap.
Right. And
Christina, attach your BRT RET to the battery tether point. Copy. And
BRT RET to battery tether
the
point.
final config H1 on your BRT. 10 seconds to a 30-second handover.
Okay. And copy. And Drew, I'm go for you to remove your RET.
Okay.
All right, Drew, for this handoff, because of the long distance to the battery tether point as opposed to the...
getting
that signal if we may have to do the double where the hand will speak to me,
let's do another one of your Ask NASA questions. This one comes from Big Boy, who said, let's say the astronauts lose his or her grav, what will happen if they drift off into space?
And you have the battery,
as you can see, they use a lot of tethers to make sure that they're constantly attached to the station. If they were to become detached, they do have the safer small jetpack to get them back to the station. So they do have backup options if that ever did happen.
My BRT. All right, and Stephanie, I am ready to the battery tether point.
30 centimeters.
Copy. And the final config H1 on your BRT. 10 seconds to a 30-second handover.
I could hold the PGT upside down and then it would be doable. Copy. And Drew, I'm go for you to remove your RET.
How big of a hassle will that be for you?
I think it would be good because it would allow you to translate directly onto it.
I'm just thinking about this AP plate part and not that. Right now, I don't want to go.
And another one of those quick handovers, so we should be getting that signal back with the station in just a couple of seconds. In the meantime, let's do another one of your Ask NASA questions. This one comes from Big Boy, who said, let's say the astronauts lose his or her grav, what will happen if they drift off into space? Well, as you can see, they use a lot of tethers to make sure that they're constantly attached to the station. If they were to become detached, they do have the safer small jetpack to get them back to the station. So they do have backup options if that ever did happen.
Leaning back?
If we had just covering it
we can hand you over to
30 centimeters with your feet, What do you, how would that impact your ability to get up the fixtures?
It would, I could hold the PGC upside down and then it would be doable.
Ports and its feet.
Copy, 30 centimeters towards Nana's feet. I think it would be good because it would allow you to translate, you're talking about to translate directly onto it.
NASA astronaut Jessica Meir now
just
back in the mix. She's inside the station at the controls of the robotics workstation. She's actually maneuvering the robotic arm a little bit, doing some fine-tuning touches to give better access for these spacewalking astronauts. That robotic arm holding the entire pallet.
Well, we're back.
They're back, I think. Stephanie, we have you back?
Yes, we're back with you.
Okay. We were discussing options for Drew's translation onto and off of the EP.
Be continuing.
I think we decided that we'd like to have him be able to translate directly onto it.
Here comes 25,
will require GCA.
Copy. And we're fine with that?
And there's 30 centimeters.
We can hand you over to Jessica for that.
Hey, if we can go brakes on, I'll give it a shot.
And I'm with you on one, Christina and Drew. Again, I'm actually going to probably need about 20
we would like to bring the EP 30 centimeters towards Nana's feet. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. 30 centimeters towards Nana's feet. Brakes are coming off. Starting motion.
NASA astronaut Jessica Meir now back in the mix. She's inside the station at controls of a robotics workstation. She's actually maneuvering the robotic arm a little bit, doing some fine-tuning touches to give better access for these spacewalking astronauts. That robotic arm holding the entire pallet.
We can go ahead and call that good there. Ramp out now.
Good motion.
And I show this a good location for me. How about you, Drew?
Continuing.
I think it's going to be great.
Okay, copy. DCA complete.
DCA complete. Here comes 25, ramping out.
Copy. Brakes are on, so I'm go to touch.
Houston concurs.
And there's 30 centimeters. How does that look?
We'd like a glove, half and
if we can go brakes on, I'll give it a shot.
And, copy, I can do that in. I'm actually going to probably need about 20 centimeters body in towards me. So if that will help you, Drew, we could put that in now.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, copy, Christina. That was 20 centimeters body in toward you.
Do that. Ready?
Starting motion.
Copy.
Hey, that was a easy reach.
And you do have a handrail pointing here to the left of the battery that you're on. Good motion. As well as one.
Copy, continuing. There's 10.
We can go ahead and call that good there. Ramp out now.
I think then we'll put his hand off here.
And I show this a good location for me. How about you, Drew?
I think it's going to be great.
Okay, copy. DCA complete.
DCA complete. Brakes are on.
Copy. Brakes are on, so I'm go to touch.
Houston concurs, and when it's a good opportunity, we'd like a glove, half, and gauntlet check.
Okay, copy. I can do that now while he's translating. I see no change on my gloves. Half is dry, gauntlets are down.
Copy, checks EV1. While Drew is translating into position, I have some additional information.
You reach.
We show you about 50 minutes ahead. PET is 3 hours, 30 minutes.
And you do have a handrail pointing here.
Working so efficiently that
the left of the battery that you're on, and as well as one outward.
With 2 additional blocks, moving battery 3 into slot 2 and battery Bravo.
I think then we'll put his hand off here.
And those would be those additional tasks from EVA2. What do you guys think about that?
Think about here.
So far, I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yes, I think so far.
Copy that. We'll continue to discuss it, but that's what we're thinking at this time. We feel that would still fit in 6 hours, 30 minutes.
Just be careful with your translation.
For EV2 men
of the EP body.
And the call just there from Ground IV Stephanie Wilson, the crew, about 50 minutes ahead on their timeline.
While Drew is translating into position, I have some additional information. We show you about 50 minutes, 50 minutes ahead. PET is 3 hours, 30 minutes.
Activities.
You two are working so efficiently that we feel we can press ahead with 2 additional blocks, moving battery 3 into slot 2 and battery Bravo to slot 3. And those would be those additional tasks from EVA2. What do you guys think about that?
So far, I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I think so far.
Copy that. We'll continue to discuss it, but that's what we're thinking at this time. We feel that would still fit in 6 hours, 30 minutes. Limiting consumable for EV2 MEDOX is 7 hours.
Copy.
And the call just there from Ground IV Stephanie Wilson, the crew, about 50 minutes ahead on their timeline.
AP here is where I want to make sure that we're not pinched in here too tight for me to navigate out.
Okay.
And assuming they continue to stay ahead, they're going to add a couple more tasks to the day's activities.
Or are you going to put it on your BRT and then translate across now that you have that closer?
I think that we'll be able to do it.
Handrail on the AP. So you're saying you would put it on your BRT in the position you're in now?
Yeah, I'll put it in a position on my BRT down. I think if I rotate this direction, go back to structure here and rotate. I'll just need your assistance with the GCA as I pass it through.
Okay. Should be able to have eyes on that.
Okay. We're ready.
Okay. We'll just need you to grab the EVT with a 9-inch check.
I'm just looking at you there to see if there's any way that we could do the handoff with me on
Please
structure.
give us a glove, hap, and gauntlet check.
Copy. Get my waist tether there. If we do the handoff with me right here, I think that we'll be able to do it just fine.
So you're saying you would probably put it on your BRT in the position you're in now?
Yeah, I'll put it in a position on my BRT down that direction, and then I'll go back to structure here and rotate. And my left glove, I'll just need your assistance with the GCA as I pass it through.
Okay.
Right glove. Some
should be able to have eyes on that.
the palm that is the most outer layer that was the most outer layer, just a little bit of healing, but it's all covered RTB all the way through. Okay, very minor. We're ready.
Okay, we'll just need you to grab the EVT with a 9-inch check.
Some small area
Hand it down to me.
Slightly.
Prior to that, Drew, please give us a glove, hap, and gauntlet check. Dry hap, copy your report on the gloves, and double check your gauntlets down.
Gauntlets down.
Copy checks EV2.
So Drew, I would still take your help here with releasing the AP.
Say again?
I would still take your help with releasing the AP on the EP.
And just now, we're doing another one of those periodic checks. You'll see both the astronauts do this throughout the spacewalk, checking their gloves,
and
their
left glove,
absorbency pad, and their gauntlets, just the areas beneath their gloves that cover the actual link point.
Some RTD in the palm that is the most outer layer that was
the spacewalk, just as status checks. The gloves,
a little bit,
as you can tell, are the main connection point between
healing,
the
but it's
crew
all covered
and the station during the spacewalk.
All the way through.
So they're the most susceptible to any damage from sharp edges or anything like that. So just doing constant checks, checking for any changes
where
in the surfaces of the gloves.
Slightly.
Copy dry HAP, copy your report on the gloves, and double check your gauntlets down.
Go in there.
Yeah. Gauntlets down.
Copy checks EV2. Then, as Christina requested, Drew, you can retrieve the ratchet wrench with the hex driver.
And just now, Drew Morgan doing another one of those periodic checks. You'll see both the astronauts do this throughout the spacewalk, checking their gloves, their hat, their helmet absorbency pad, and their gauntlets, just the areas beneath their gloves that cover the actual link point between the glove and the arm of the spacesuit. Drew Morgan standing by to those are interspersed throughout the spacewalk, just as status checks. The gloves, as you can tell, are the main connection point between the crew and the station during the spacewalk. So they're the most susceptible to any damage from sharp edges or anything like that. So just doing constant checks, checking for any changes in the surfaces of their gloves.
Hey, Stephanie, I have the PGT with a 9-inch hex, and hang on. So while you're at the ORU bag, if I could hand you my small trash bag.
Christina and Drew, first, for the adapter plate, we need to have you break torque with the ratchet wrench with the hex driver.
Yes.
So we'll need that first, as you requested earlier, before the glove check.
There's an adjustable in there for it, so I'll just do
the driving with the PGT.
Adjustable.
I have the ratchet now. It's a 9-inch hex.
And here's a new tool making an appearance. Spacewalking duo getting set up to remove this adapter plate.
On these as long as you keep it under one turn.
Christina Koch's going to be at work with the pistol grip tool coming up.
The ratchet wrench,
and Drew Morgan standing by to help her out with the alignment.
Should be about a half turn, quarter turn, perhaps. First on H1, confirm one line flush.
Okay. We're just going to leave it ready to the bag, correct?
DGP?
Yeah.
H1, I have one line flush. Hey, I have it.
There you have it.
Max one turn.
Hey, Stephanie, I have the PGT with a 9-inch hex and quarter turn. Hang on.
Copy quarter turn on H1 to break torque. Next is Christina and Drew. Confirm one line first, for the adapter plate, we need to have you break torque with the ratchet wrench with the hex driver.
Yes.
So we'll need that first, as you requested earlier, before the glove checks, and then you'll continue the driving with the PGT.
One line flush on H2. Copy that. I have the ratchet now.
H2
broken. The 9-inch hex. Quarter turn.
And here's a new tool making an appearance.
Quarter turn to break torque on H2.
Any order on these as long as you keep it under one turn?
Drew. That's affirmative. You basically move the ratchet wrench and you can until you get some motion until the torque is broken. Should be about a half turn, quarter turn, perhaps. First on H1,
so Christina Koch
confirm one line flush.
Hand ratchet just to break torque. Essentially, these have been installed with a pretty tight load on the bolts themselves.
On H1, I have one line flush.
So using the hand
Copy
tool
break
to
torque,
just get
max one turn.
through that initial quarter turn, and
First
switching
broken,
back over to the
quarter
pistol
turn.
grip tool to remove the bolts themselves.
Copy quarter turn on H1 to break torque. Clockwise 2. Next is H2, confirm one line flush.
Counter 2 is set.
Copy good settings, confirm one line flush on H1.
Work. One line flush, H1.
Release H1.
One line flush on H2.
Copy one line flush H2.
Broken. Quarter turn.
Okay.
Copy quarter turn to break torque on H2. You can hand that ratchet wrench back to Drew. He can stow it or tend it back to the small ORU bag. And you can receive the PGT with the hex driver. Copy 6 turns. Same settings for H2. Alpha 7 counterclockwise 2.
So Christina Koch using a hand ratchet just to break torque.
Confirm one line
essentially, these have been installed with a pretty tight load on the bolts themselves prior to their launch. So using the hand tool to just get them through that initial quarter turn, and then switching back over to the pistol grip tool to remove the bolts themselves.
Alpha 7, counterclockwise 2.
Alpha 7, counter 2 is set.
Christina Koch working on the
Copy,
second
good
bolt
settings.
now, holding this
Confirm
adapter
one line flush on
plate
H1.
in place on the exposed pallet.
Work.
Once it's released, she's going to temporarily stow it,
One
or
line
she's
flush,
going to transfer it
H1.
over to Drew Morgan,
Release
who's standing
H1,
by.
about 8 turns.
The 8 turns and work.
And then they'll work to install the battery that Christina Koch has temporarily stowed right now on her mini workstation into the slot where this adapter plate's coming out of.
Okay, release. I'm going to give it another strip bump to be sure. And it started skipping at 6 turns. Skipping, 18 turns.
Copy 6 turns. Same settings for H2, Alpha 7, counterclockwise 2.
I believe Drew is writing to I have Alpha 7, counter 2 set.
Confirm one line flush on H2.
And Stephanie, if you could confirm that for us. Work.
Yes, this is Drew's BRT
Line flush,
red
H2.
to the adapter plate. Release H2 about 19 turns. Using the non-locking end to go to the adapter plate. And that's my mistake.
The red is on it.
Christina Koch working on the second bolt now, holding this adapter plate in place on the exposed pallet. Once it's released, she's going to temporarily stow it, or she's going to transfer it over to Drew Morgan, who's standing by.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so that's where it's going to get.
And then they'll work to install the battery that Christina Koch has temporarily stowed right now on her mini workstation into the slot where this adapter plate's coming out of.
At least I'm going to give it another. Maybe we could sure hit it on your BRT where you are now, and maybe you'd be close enough 18 turns. Make that translation with it on your BRT. And they have just set to ret to it. I believe Drew is writing to it. So we are out of soft dock. So what I'm going to do is it's ready to you. And Stephanie, if you could confirm that for us, move the PG and hand this to you. Get these.
Yes, this is Drew's BRT ret to the adapter plate handrail tether point, using the non-locking end to go to the adapter plate. And that's my mistake.
I need to get the pressure down to the red is on it.
Want to switch to the non-locking side, or?
Yeah, no, it's a good.
Get another red on it and then remove that one if you can.
So right now, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get in the body position with me ready to.
A little bit so that you can. Oh, I see. Okay.
And so that's where it's going to get tricky. So
the handrails.
Yep. I'll put this red on it.
Sunrise in 15 seconds.
We could just see if I just turn it towards you. Drew, maybe we could just get it on your BRT where you are now, and maybe you'd be close enough to make that translation with it on your BRT. Well, I can keep continuing to kind of follow your motion.
Let's give it a shot.
All right, okay, and just be aware that our bodies are pretty close here. So we are out of soft dock. So what I'm going to do is, it's ready to you. I'm going to move the PG and hand this to you. Get these stowed up there.
Yep.
I have the stanchion, so I have control of the adapter plate. Do that now or keep going?
I'm going to keep going. I'm all ready to go. I'm going to be looking right at you in the sun. I need to get the pressure down too.
Copy.
And we can see the adapter plate now free of its place in slot A. It's going to get passed over to Drew Morgan.
I have the length.
Okay. Like I said, I have good control of it.
Okay, you have control.
Yep, I'm backing it off a little bit so that you can assess on your BRT. And maybe you want to move a little bit to my right. That's for the handrails.
Yep. Good on extension.
It'll be a straight shot to your BRT if I just turn it towards you.
I'm going to keep moving my waist cover down too.
Or I can keep continuing to kind of follow your motion, and we can see if we have that clearance to do plan A.
I think we try to get me as close to right along your right side as we can before we get into my BRT.
Copy. Do that now or keep going?
I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to get it all ready to go.
And we can see the adapter plate now free of its place in slot A. It's going to get passed over to Drew Morgan.
Okay, and just be aware, it's not on your BRT route, but just comes with that route.
Yeah. That was just to keep the box beside me. Where it is. Right. Good on extension.
Here we can get a good view of that adapter plate from the helmet.
Off the battery on the AP. So that motion, watch that motion.
Do you think I'm going to be able to continue to rotate to my right now?